Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and we got some interesting news, but will also possibly be bad news for the Fast and Furious franchise because Vin Diesel has suited back up as Riddick for the fourth installment in the Riddick franchise, and he's posted an official image of himself. Well, it's actually a little video that you will see of him suiting back up as Riddick. Now, there's also reports that the Fast and Furious 11, is it? 11 or 12, whichever one, may actually be in bigger trouble than you think. But this is about Riddick, but also what this could possibly mean for Fast and Furious, because it looks like Riddick is going to take priority right now for Vin Diesel. So the long-awaited return of Vin Diesel as Richard B. Riddick is finally happening, and the action star has now revealed a new look at his highly anticipated comeback. Now titled Riddick FURYA, the fourth outing in the sci-fi action franchise has been in the works since as far back as 2014 and will delve more into the title character's mysterious origins than ever before. And taking to Instagram, Diesel shared an image of himself looking sharp in his slick Furian armor, captioning the image simply with the words Furian. The image reveals Diesel in a pair of bladed gauntlets that he will no doubt use to take down whoever makes the mistake of getting in his way. So, set to be written and directed once again by David Twohy, alongside creators Jim and Ken Wheat, the sci-fi action sequel not only finds Diesel as the lead, which obviously, but also as a producer on the project. Alongside the new image, you can also check out the official synopsis for Riddick FURYA, which is, Riddick finally returns to his home world, a place he barely remembers and one he fears might be left in ruins. But there he finds other Furians fighting for their existence against a new monster, and some of these Furians are more like Riddick than he could have ever imagined. So, what is this monster now? When they say monster, is it like an actual monster, like some big beastie, or is that a word being used to describe some new threat, like other world people or something? Don't quite know. It doesn't really go into that details. But this is where it talks about his other projects, saying, with the Fast and Furious franchise now set to come to an end with an 11th installment, though, as recent reports reveal, it may have surprisingly already ended with 2023's Fast X, Diesel is looking to launch several new action franchises in its wake. Alongside Riddick 4, Diesel now sets to return for The Last Witch Hunter 2, and with Triple X4 also on his mind. So, what exactly is this thing about the Fast and Furious? So, Fast and Furious 11 has been a sore subject since Fast X failed to make itself profitable after the movie's budget soared to phenomenal heights that left Universal winching and the franchise's continuation in doubt. Throw in Diesel's barbed comments about wanting to bring the franchise back to family and street racing following some of the ridiculously over-the-top stories that Dom and Co have been subjected to in their last few movies, and there has already been a lot of unrest around the production. Now it seems there has been a demand from Universal that the cost of Fast 11 has to be brought down by $140 million compared to that of its predecessors. As per the Wall Street Journal, Universal has given the makers of Fast 11 an ultimatum that they either stick to a budget of $200 million or the movie won't be greenlit. Originally, when Fast X was 2 movies, it was estimated that Part 2 would cost around $250 million, which means that even if this estimate is being used, then the team behind the film still need to come up with $50 million in additional costs. So it just sounds like it's an absolute crap show behind the scenes regarding Fast and Furious. And the fact that Diesel has now gone back to kind of abandoned Fast and Furious right now and just suited up as Riddick. Yeah, that's not going to be good news for the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, the irony with the video that you've been seeing throughout this of Vin Diesel back as Riddick is, we only recently saw him a couple of months ago at that event. Was it in Brazil? I think it was in Brazil. The event where he said they were going to bring back Paul Walker into Fast and Furious, and that it was going back to street levels. That could also add to the tension with Universal, that Universal may not have been happy with him doing that. But he was so out of shape then. And when you see him in this Diesel, he looks a wee bit... Did I just say when he looks at this in Vin Diesel? When you look at him as Riddick here, you can see he's still somewhat out of shape. So, I mean, look, you have to give it to the guy. He's still in better shape than most of us, and he's in his 50s. So, you know, I'm not going to, like, criticize him too much, but for these type of characters, I think, you know, there's so much kind of that he still has to do to get back into true fighting form for these roles, which isn't going to be easy to do with his age. But overall, the fact that he's gone back now for this, and it's clearly going to be happening if he's suiting up, you know, testing the costume and stuff, yeah, it's not good news for Fast and Furious right now, is it? And again, I think the fact that Universal is saying we need to budget down, blah, 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 they may be super pissed that he went out there and said, we're going back to street level, back to LA, this, that, all the rest, and we're bringing Paul Walker back, because that means you have to do a crap ton of CGI again. So, as for what's happening with Fast and Furious, God only knows. They'll probably have to come to some sort of compromise. It probably will happen, because I doubt they would cancel it, being the moneymaker it is. Even though it's saying here that they did lose profit on the last movie, so okay, whatever. But I think there's so much of a demand for that last movie that they're absolutely going to do it. There's no way they're not going to do it. But Riddick now taking center stage, as well as The Last Witch Hunter 2, because that's moving forward quite quickly now as well. Apparently, I believe that's at Netflix now that they're doing that. It really does push Fast and Furious kind of way down the pecking order. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Especially seeing as didn't the last one end on a cliffhanger, which is weird. But Riddick, I'll be honest, I enjoy those movies. I enjoyed Pitch Black, and then of course Chronicles of Riddick, and then just Riddick. You know, me and my buddy, we have a little ritual. We always go to those movies, have a great laugh, have a few beers after it and stuff. That's our thing to do. And yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing another Riddick. I don't know whether it's too late for it or not. We'll have to wait and see about that. But as things stand, Riddick is next on his slate by the looks of it, which should be followed by The Last Witch Hunter 2. Who knows what's going to happen with Fast and Furious, but let me know what you guys think. Are you interested in seeing more Riddick? Do you think this will affect and possibly end Fast and Furious? Let me know. Sound off. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.